Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
Welcome to the dark side, everyone, and another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. We are in week 2, round 2 of the Grand Arena Championships. This is the main account, and our opponent today is Fenix Trenor. Taking a look at the hotbot report, we can see the matchup is fairly even, but let's take a deeper look into the stats so that we can get a better understanding of what's going on. Our opponent seems to have been playing for a little bit longer than us based on his lifetime banners, but we can see that we are definitely being a lot more efficient than our opponent this season. We have a lot more undersized wins than our opponent, even though he's been playing a lot longer than us. Taking a look at the summary, our opponent has slightly more GP and Zetas than us, but we are ahead of them in ships and we have 2 more G13s than them. In the mod analysis, we can clearly see that we outspeed them, and our opponent hasn't really worked on his mods enough. He does have some more offense mods, but that isn't as important. We are ahead by 1 relic level, really doesn't make much of a difference, but our opponent does have 2 relic 7s to our none. In the meta character report, we have Darth and Darth Malak, and they do not. Both of us have JKR, but ours is G13. We have the upper hand when it comes to key characters, except his Thrawn is G13 and a lot better modded. Taking a look at the important ships, we do have the Negotiator and he has none of the meta fleets. This is purely the fact that he is in a lower GP guild. We also have the upper hand with our Houndstooth having a higher speed because of our relic Bosk. Before going into the arena, let's take a look at our opponent's roster and just take a look if we notice anything that's going to cause a threat. Some decent G13s on his account, but I don't understand why he went relic 7 so early. In case you weren't aware, pushing relic levels early on when you don't have a roster that can back it up will give you much harder matchups in GAC, because it does affect your top 85 or top 65. Always check the speed before going into your match. This definitely helps a lot with your planning when you're trying to work out what counters to use and assigning teams to what your opponent's defense is. Now, knowing that his fastest character is Count Dooku with 259 speed, we aren't worried at all. We have a few characters that are above 259, so even him using this team on offense is going to be a problem because our Padme is a lot faster than that as well. Especially at this GP level, she gets quite a bit of holds. Now that we've looked at our opponent's top speed characters, it's going to help a lot when we get into the arena and we have to decide which teams are going to attack which other teams. Just by looking at the opponent's fleet arena team, we know that he hasn't got too many solid fleets. So yes, he does have some stronger ships, so we need to be a little bit wary of that, but as you can see from his ships, there's not a lot of synergy there. He's only got one main fleet, which is going to be Empire, with some thrown in odds and ends. This proves why there was a difference in the fleet GP when we were looking at the hotbot report. Also to keep in mind, our opponent did have a lot of defense holds, so we could expect them to put their fleet arena squad as their defensive fleet in the arena. Let's now go into the arena and see what's happening. The opponent has attacked. He got stuck on our ships, just as expected. Generally, I like to go with an average defense, purely on the fact that a lot of opponents that I've been facing are using a higher defense than normal, which does result in them getting lower banners and easier wins for me. Especially on the main account, I have found this to be the best approach when it comes to the Grand Arena. So our opponent has set defenses though in the upper range of his roster, which was expected due to the amount of defensive holds he has. But what is concerning is that there's nothing too threatening on the front line, so we're going to have to wait and see what is going to be in the back. We want to use as little as possible in the front. So I've decided to go with Rebels. Now, my CLS squad never gets me great banners, but I know it can take out Mon Mothma, and we don't want to take a weaker squad than that against her, because she can pull off some pretty decent holds because she's often underestimated. Strategy wise, going into a non-lock match, we want to kill off her characters as quickly as possible. Before she gets to her revive, we want to take out at least 2, that way only 1 will get revived. So we take out Cassian because it is AoE that can give ability block and some other debuffs, can't remember them offhand right now. And then Pow will give turn meter to the team, so again that is another threat, but we are stuck behind K2. And there we go, we weren't quick enough. Cassian has come back, but we do have 2 characters now that are quite low. Cassian's gonna die again, and now it's all about trying to time it so we can try and preserve as much banners as possible, but as we know at CLS, it's not always easy to maintain those banners. So there's K2 and Cassian gone, and now we just have to work down Pow and the soldier. Just Pow left, not much of a threat anymore, and it's time to kill off the ugly alien and end the battle. There we have it, GG. 58 banners, a lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting 55, to be honest. Moving on to the next team, we have the First Order. Now the First Order is pretty low geared, so it isn't that much of a threat, but it still shouldn't be underestimated. Usually with these kind of squads, I like to take in my Darth Revan Ambassador just to get those extra banners and finish off the battle quite quickly. Going into the battle, we want to use Fear on the leader, which is going to be Kylo Ren unmasked. And from there it's going to be pretty much easy pickings. We're just going to manipulate the Fear feature, taking them off one by one as they are a threat and as the Fear runs out. And as you can see, our Darth Revan is fairly strong against a squad that's this low gear. So we are just going to pick them off, get some free banners. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. 63 banners, don't mind if I do. Can always rely on Darth Revan to get some extra banners for us. I don't generally like to use him against a stronger team, especially relic teams, because I don't have a lot of the others of the Empire geared up well enough yet. So for now, I just use him to get some extra banners. As expected in the back were the common defensive teams, and that is why we saved our Vader, knowing that there was going to be a possibility of a decent defense team in the back. Now Geos, they don't look very threatening at this gear level, but trust me, they can make your day a living hell. Because of the speed difference, we just need Pelp and Vader for this counter, and as we know, with Pelp's lead, if we get dots, we get bonus turn meter. So starting off with Force Crush, getting that extra turn, going into Merciless, and then bouncing around, dropping the health pool so that we can cull GBA. Once GBA dies, Hive Mind goes away, and then we start dropping like flies. In some cases, using the Vader counter to the Geos, you will get counter attacked, or sometimes they may be able to take a turn depending on their gear level and mods. But because you're only using 2 characters, you're generally going to stay above 60 banners. Pretty much the same thing works out in the higher GP brackets with the Triumvirate. Sometimes you lose a character, or sometimes Scion or Darthreya lose a bit too much health and protection when you drop banners. 62 banners, yes boy! So I definitely need to work on my Vader. His arrow mod is not the greatest, it's just some trash 6E mod. I'm still busy trying to find a decent one, and I will relic him up before the next GAC login. So next up we have the Sisters of the Night. We're going to use the JKR counter against them. It's been pretty consistent for me, so I feel very confident to go in undersize, which is clearly something I like to do. With this Night Sister squad there is 2 Zetas, so we do need to be a little bit careful, but the same rule applies. And I just realized there's no Night Sister zombie. Nothing to have been worried about. We could have 3-manned this squad. So we definitely need to take out Asajj and Thaka. They are going to be our main targets before Mother Townsend, because we want to keep our buffs and prevent them from having revives. This will give us better banners. As you can see there in the fight, I didn't go for Asajj purely on the fact that Talia had enough turn meter to take a turn. So to try and prevent another attack which could have resulted in less banners, we went and we took out one shot. And there you have it, 61 banners as intended. So now that we have that clear, we can start clearing the bottom front section, which will be the murder bears. Now murder bears, they can always catch you off guard, especially if they get into their turn meter train. So I always like to just double check their speeds, and as you can see, this guy's got missing mods on his murder bears, and the speeds are pretty atrocious. Although I have noticed in the past there have been people that use this as like a trap, where some of the bears will be missing some mods, but one of the bears will have like an excessive amount of speed and it will catch you off guard. So either it will steal some banners and then they start their turn meter train. You could end up losing, especially if you're trying to lowball it or undersize. In the higher divisions in GAC, murder bears are placed on defense a lot less frequently, purely on the fact that they will get phased out with better teams that can be put on defense or used for offense. Usually this is around the 4 million GP mark, but under that they are quite common. So we're going to take in our bounty hunters against the murder bears, and just for safety we're going to bring ArKh, otherwise we would have done a 3-man. But I don't want to risk losing too many banners and giving them a chance to get their turn meter train. To start off, we want to take out Ewok Elder. Once Ewok Elder is gone, the team pretty much falls apart because they can't be revived. After Elder, I like to take out Chirper and ArKh. Chirper, because of his mass assist, becomes quite a nuisance when you're trying to maintain banners and keep your buffs. ArKh has a buff dispel as well, and also inflicts daze. Daze is going to stop you from getting those assists, which in turn is going to stop you from getting protection through boss lead. Although Paplu has a dispel on his basic as well, I tend to leave him for last because he's quite tanky and it's easy to just take out the other Ewoks first. Once they're all gone, Paplu's just pretty much just sitting there and you can soak up all of his damage because he doesn't deal much, and you can get back your protection and health if necessary to try and get your banners back. Now it's just Wicked and Paplu left. Wicked on his own is not very threatening. He relies a lot on the team synergy and with all the assists that they get when they have their team train. But at this point, he's not much of a threat at all. After that, just try to fight the guilt from murdering little bears. And in so doing, just try to keep up your protection and health to get maximum banners. Sometimes trying to get that extra banner by recovering health and protection ends up costing you a lot more. So trying to finish off the battle now as quickly as possible, and we get 60 banners. Not bad, but we should have got 61, but rather get 60 than less than that. So now we're moving on to the last squad, which is going to be the Fenix team. Still a very common team to put on defense, even I put it down myself. This is very common because it's a team that's just sitting there. You're not going to use it for offense, and it just becomes a filler squad. As you can see, this guy's even pulled mods off of his team, so it is going to be an easy one for us. Thrawn lead with Malak and Dooku was one of my favorite squads to use in 3v3. It's quite effective and not very common, but with Thrawn's lead you can get the dispel and you pass on the turn, and the stuns with Malak and Count Dooku. Count Dooku goes into stealth as well to keep his protection. Of course, if you had the Zeta on Dooku, you would be able to recover your protection much more frequently. But the main key in this squad is that Thrawn is going to keep passing on turns and recover protection on the two adjacent units. So this becomes quite effective because it's very rare that you won't get maximum banners for using this squad, especially against the weaker teams and filler squads like this. So the strategy for this round is we're going to take out Hera first, because once we've taken down another character to low enough health, the AI is going to automatically use her ability where she will allow them to revive, which we don't want. We don't want to prolong the fight any more than we have to. After her we want to take out Chopper or Ezra. Ezra because he's going to be the main damage dealer of the team, and Chopper because he's just an utter nuisance, dispelling buffs and taunting, assisting. So those are our two targets after that. Thrawn is going to be like our team's bartender. Whenever the protection gets low, he's going to be there to top it up before you even have to ask. Even though the Fenix team is one of the worst teams in the game, everyone's got them, because they are required to unlock Thrawn. So we could say we're doing like a little reenactment of the event, having Thrawn take on Fenix. Battle does drag on a bit, but that's purely because of the fact that our master strategist is trying to keep the team healthy and get us the best banners possible. It's all about the tactics. Of course, if our Dooku or Malak was at a high gear level, this matchup would go a lot faster, but then again, they would be a lot more relevant used in another counter. We finally got rid of Chopper, and now we're going to start taking down Ezra. Dooku going into stealth, trying to hide away from those counter attacks, and the pesky Fenix always targeting him. We want to maintain his protection as much as possible, so that Thrawn can just focus keeping Malak topped up. As the Fenix characters start dying off, it becomes a lot easier to control the fight and maintain our banners. Now we are left with Zeb and Kanan for last. We generally want to keep them for last because of their counter attacks, and they inflict debuffs when they hit back, and tend to recover health and protection quite frequently. So once you've got shock on them, they can't recover health or protection, so you just get an easy win. 62 banners, like taking candy from a baby. I'd say we did pretty well on the ground, so let's see what we got for fleets. And it looks like a home one. A home one with the Galactic Republic. It's very odd, but they are his strongest ships. Although the fleet synergy is definitely going to be lacking. I can't see a home one working very well with Galactic Republic. There's not many assists, so they won't gain that bonus protection. But we will use our rebel fleet to take them out. Now I don't think we're going to go in with full reinforcements. Maybe just an extra damage dealer. Possibly Vader. Yeah, we'll take Vader. And this should be easy banners as well. Even though we don't have our MF at 7 stars, this fleet still does quite a lot of damage, and because of the synergy, it's highly effective. We do have Cassian and Biston at 7 stars, but we've just been really tight on resources to be able to gear up the pilots. They're not a priority right now because we're on the gas grind. Moving on to the game plan for this battle, we know that with the Galactic Republic, we need to take out Anakin because he is going to be the main damage dealer. With Ahsoka, we don't really want to inflict too many debuffs on her because she's going to use her third ability, which is going to dispel them, gain extra protection and retribution. Anakin is just taking his ticket to the afterlife, and it should be game set match from here on out. Personally, I've been enjoying ships lately, especially getting into a really awesome shard chat. It helps a lot getting those extra crystals and not having anyone bug you when you're trying to get to your payout at the end of every day. We want to bring in Phantom as our first reinforcement because their reinforcement ability will allow us to bring in more reinforcements more frequently, giving us a massive advantage. Even though we lost our wiring, it's not that big of a deal. We're still going to get pretty decent banners at the end. Rebels have been pretty consistent for me. So to finish off the battle, we are going to call in Vader to deal that big damage and get this battle over and done with. And that's all she wrote. 63 banners, pretty decent. Could have been better if we didn't lose the Y-Wing. What can we do? I'd say a pretty convincing win over our opponent due to efficiency and just outright outspeeding them. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. It does take a lot of time and effort to make these videos for you guys, so it will be appreciated. Peace!